Welcome, guys. Today's episode, I think we're going to title it Nature is Underrated. Ryan just got back from a 3-day portage.
Yeah, 2.5 days.
2.5 days, 3 days, whatever. Call it 3 days.
I'll call it 3 days. I mean, with travel time, 3 days.
3-day portage. I just got back from a 5-day trip in Banff. So we both fresh off the nature bus right now. So I guess, what do you want to do? You want to get into the portage? Get into the portage. Is this your first time portaging? Was that your first time portaging?
First time in like 15 years. Yeah.
Got it.
So it's been a minute. It was interesting, man. It was cool to just, I got invited like 2 weeks prior.
Yeah.
So it was just like, okay, now I need to get my shit like in order. Spend a bunch of money on gear.
Yeah. What did you buy? Okay. So you did a 3-day portage, Algonquin, North T Lake.
Yeah.
What was the gear that you bought?
The gear was just like, just camping gear, like layers. Cause I knew it was going to get cold at night. And my sleeping bag is again, like probably even older than 15 years from when I was a kid. And it's rated for summer because we only ever did summer camping as kids.
Yeah. Which is typically a cooler bag.
Yeah. So it was like, I need layers. So I just got some layers. I got some, moisture wicking performance gear, some wool socks, which I didn't own, hiking shoes that are waterproof.
Water resistant.
It's not waterproof. It's bullshit.
Depends on the ones you buy. I got some waterproof ones. They're expensive.
They said Gore-Tex, like the Gore-Tex ones. You got to get the Gore-Tex ones because those are like the waterproof. I asked the guy, I was like, yo, which one of these hiking shoes are waterproof? He's like, these ones.
Really?
I'm like, all right, let me go with these. I put my foot in the water, instantly soaked. I was like, yo, this is some bullshit. So I just had wet feet the entire portage there, but it didn't matter because it was raining anyways. But yeah, just like a bunch of gear, like a sleeping pad, dry bags, because I knew it was going to be raining on the way there. How much were
the dry bags?
Yo, Amazon.
Oh yeah?
Amazon, man. Like I think the most I spent for one was $70.
Really?
And it nice backpack straps, has the chest and the waist strap.
Ooh, I'm gonna get one then.
Some pouches inside and stuff. I have one of them over there.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, so it's great. Like it's something I never knew I needed until I needed it. And it was great because I put my camera gear in a separate one. So I had all my things in dry bags. That way I could easily like, okay, I know what that's gear. This is clothes. This is camera bags.
Don't worry about it, get it wet because you're on the lake.
Got all that stuff packed like a week in advance to make sure I had everything I needed and then I could just chill. Normally I pack like the night before and it's a disaster. So I was like, let me like lay out all my things.
You can't do that for something like this.
I took your advice. I brought extra things.
Yeah.
I didn't end up using majority of it, but it was nice to just have as a in case.
Yeah.
So it was good. Spent a decent amount of
you got it, bro.
money, but at least now I have the stuff and I never have to buy it again.
It's
right?
an investment.
So it's just like,
if you're gonna do it more than once, you should have that. Like, you should have a proper backpack. You should have a proper dry bag.
Yeah.
You should have hiking boots.
Yeah.
You have your wool socks, kind of like comfy wear, stuff to wear out there. So it's an investment. It's expensive though. That's one thing I will say. It's funny because I was like, oh, I'm gonna get into hiking because it's cheap. That was my initial thought, especially during the pandemic. I was like, nothing else to do. I'm just gonna put on shoes and go for a walk. Basically, couple $1,000s later, bro. You need a tent, you need a bag, you need this, you need that, you need your headlamp, your hatchet, a saw,
everything.
Yeah.
Everything. Like it's the amount of gear you actually need is absurd.
Yeah.
Like I didn't like everyone. Like we had a list like of all the things, like who's bringing what and everything. So like a lot of the gear was already taken care of, but like just the amount of hand saws we had, hatchets, because we harvested all our own wood, all that stuff. So it was just like the amount of tools you need to bring just to survive. I was like, oh, like I don't own any of that stuff because like I haven't done a trip like this in a minute. So it was interesting to just see like how much is actually required to get the job done and like have a decent time camping.
Yeah. It's work.
It's work.
Yeah.
It's work.
Yeah. Spending time outdoors is work. It's relaxing, but not in the way most people would describe relaxing, which would be like lounging or like sitting on a beach and just reading a book or something. That's a different kind of relaxing.
Glamping. Yeah. You pull up to this nicely designed yurt. You park your car, you go inside, you have gas burning stove, heat, running water, shower. It's a different vibe. You got a fully functioning kitchen. Yeah. This ain't it.
Yeah. That is relaxing, but this is like, there's something about when you, like for me, when I do a portage or when I do a backcountry trip, There's something about being so busy with the work.
Yeah.
Like so busy with the work that when you come out of the forest, you're like, oh my God, that was so relaxing.
But also rewarding.
Yes.
Like we all put our phones away. We set that intention when we went in. It's like no phones. We didn't even bring a speaker.
Yeah.
Like no music, like nothing.
Nice.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Everything we did was intentional. There was some programming. There was a lot of different guys from different backgrounds. So like a lot of body movement stuff, functional strength training, jujitsu even. Just, you know, everyone kind of brought their expertise to the group.
How many people?
We had 8 guys in total.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. So it was good. It was a good amount. And just being out in nature and working for your food, I find like, it's like, you don't realize how much you're doing, but when you eat, it's just like so much more rewarding because you feel like you earned it.
Oh yeah.
The other day I've sat in my studio all day editing and then went for pizza and I was like, I didn't earn this.
Yeah.
Like I didn't burn any calories today. This is just, yeah. But camping, you're eating nonstop because you're just like, you're canoeing, you're going for day trips, you're hiking, you're, you know, harvesting wood, you're doing all these things.
And you're not eating a freshly baked pizza either. You're eating like jerky and nuts, but those are so good when you're out there. Yeah.
Bro, like just the best. Like it's cooking over a fire. There's nothing like that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's different, and being out in nature, grounding yourself and not having the distraction of a phone. That was the biggest thing for me, is like, I realized how much of a distraction my phone is and how much I use it as a clutch, or like a crutch rather. Mm-hmm. And just like anytime I have 2 seconds of downtime, what's happening?
Yeah.
If I take it to the bathroom, like anytime I'm going to do a task, the first thing I do is grab my phone to bring it with me, as if I need it to do whatever it is I'm doing. And that's couldn't be further from the truth, because literally all it does is distract you from what you're trying to accomplish in the first place.
Yes.
I've noticed if I get a message or a notification, whatever, I check that while I'm doing the task, and half the time I'll forget what I'm doing, and then I'll just go back to what I was doing because my phone distracted me. So now it's like making a point of leaving my phone on my desk whenever I go to do anything. Mm. And I don't need it.
Physical separation.
Yeah. Like there were so many times where I opened my bag and I saw it sitting in there and I was like, I should take it out to take a picture. I should take it out. And I was like, no, I'm just going to leave it. And during the trip, like on the second day, we paddled out to I don't think it was an island, just another part of the mainland. And, we did a bird sit. So we all went our own separate ways and sat alone for an hour. And I was like, oh, I brought my AirPods because I was like, I'm going to do some breath work. But I forgot my phone because I was so detached from my phone. I got there and I was like, but it's like, why am I going to put in these AirPods and do breath work when I'm sitting in nature? I can do breath work without guidance or without music or without anything. I can just be.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was almost like, duh.
How there's something that happens, like, it's so quiet that your ears are ringing. Like that happens to me sometimes when I'm out there, where like, it's so quiet that it's like my ears are adjusting because they're so used to noise around all the time.
Yeah.
That there's almost like this kind of like a pressure release happening in my ear where it's like,
it's like
almost like a ringing. It's not a ringing.
It's like a hum. It's like a frequency. It's like I know what you're talking about, because it's like when you're living in a city, like we're in Toronto.
Always noise. Like always noise. Yeah. And you don't realize it until you remove yourself from the city and you go to Algonquin or any provincial park where there's no traffic and you're just sitting there. And it's funny you say that, because like all you hear is nature. Yeah. And it's like, it's almost like it doesn't exist in the city because you don't hear it. But when you go to nature, so profound. That's so, you know profound. What I mean? You're like, you don't hear the nature. You don't at all. Like it's just non-existent. Like, I mean, but the sounds of nature are not like beeping sounds. The sounds of nature is like rustling of leaves, for example. Right. Yeah. But you don't hear that in the city. So that's another part, like where you're detached. It's so interesting. Like just sitting, you can hear the water in the distance because you're surrounded by these lakes. You can hear so many different birds, the wind rustling in the leaves, like you said. Yeah.
if there is a little critter running around, you hear it, and you're so perceptive to what's going on around you. But I feel like in the city, it's just white noise. Yeah. And you would never like, you'd probably step on a mouse because you can't even hear it or see it. Like you're just paying attention to everything happening around you that you wouldn't even think to look at the ground. You're just like, where am I going? Right. So you would like we found a mouse that like crashed our campsite.
Oh, that happened to me too.
And he was just chilling. And he was just like, yo, what's good? And we're all like, yo, what's good? Yeah. And he's just like, all right. And he just went about his business. But like, because we were all being so still and like just present and aware, you could hear it.
Yes.
Like it's a tiny little guy, but you heard it. And it's just like, oh, there's a mouse.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh shit. Like you wouldn't observe that in the city. And I learned something cool. One of the guys there was saying how the frequency that birds chirp in is like this unique frequency. And I learned that birds start chirping before the sunrise to let you know the sunrise is coming, which is interesting. And when they do that, it causes the leaves on trees to open these spores to absorb like the sunlight that's coming. So it's almost like
waking up the trees.
It's waking up the trees, which I thought was insane. Yeah. I was like, this is crazy. But then when we were there, I noticed, because I'm an early riser, I would wake up to the birds chirping, look outside the tent, it's still dark. And I'm like, oh, I checked the time. The sunrise is coming in about half hour to an hour. I was like, this is so interesting.
Yeah. The sounds of morning, especially out there.
So interesting.
Like, first of all, it's such a unique sound.
Yeah.
It's such a unique sound, like the sound of morning in the backcountry, where it's like you hear it's like the slowly building too. It's like first it's only a couple birds chirping.
Yeah.
It's only a couple birds chirping, and then I guess all the other birds hear that bird and they start waking up slowly. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it's like a symphony in the forest.
Bro, you took the words right out of my mouth. It's like they're building a symphony and they're just like communicating whatever. And like, it's just so serene being out there. And at first I was like, oh man, where am I going to like go to the bathroom? I'm like, this is not ideal. Like we don't have. And then I was like, the first day I was like, just dropping a deuce. Like I went for a little hike during the sunrise. I was like just taking in nature's beauty, whatever. And I just found like a little spot. I was like, man, it just feels right. Like, I don't know how to say it, but like shitting with the view just feels right. Like it was just nice being out there and being like,
you guys didn't have a thunderbox?
Oh, there was, but okay. I wasn't going to fuck with that. I wanted the raw like experience. I wanted to like go out there and find my own little spot and just like, I was like, this is what we did thousands of years ago. Like there was no toilets, running water, all this shit. You just like
probably dig a hole and bury it.
And I noticed like, cause we invent all these things like the squatty potty to make it more of a natural position for you to shit in. But like, if you just get into a deep squat, like that's, cause I was like, man, like I have a dog. He does this all the time. It's just fucking, that's what they do.
Yeah.
It's the most natural thing. You just pop a squat, get it out and move on. Right. And that's what it was. Like, it just seems like we forgot so much of like what we came from and just like the simplicity of things. And we overcomplicate things to make it more efficient, more comfortable, more whatever. But really it's like taking us so far away from where we came from. It's like being back in nature's like this weird, like, oh shit. Like it's like lost information, but it's still in you. It's sitting around a campfire.
Exactly.
You just feel so comfortable there.
It's so ingrained in your DNA that it's just, it just reminds you like just like clockwork. Like you realize how in tune your body is actually with the earth when you're out there.
Bro, it's next level, man. It's next level. And just like doing physical labor that isn't necessarily like working out, but it's just like manual labor that we're intended to do on it. You know what I mean? Like
now it's survival.
We're so comfortable. You wake up, make a coffee, make your food. Like you don't actually have to do any work for the things you consume. You want something, you go to the store, buy it, bring it home. Yeah. That's the most effort you're putting in. But like there, it's like we're running low on wood. Fuck, we can't make food if we don't have wood. So you got to go harvest the wood, chop it up, make it,
Yeah. Someone's got to tend to the fire.
Someone's got to tend to the fire. Like I woke up first thing in the morning, I was the first one up. I'm getting the fire going. Yeah. I'm chopping up the wood. I'm getting it all nice. getting the fire going. So when everyone else wakes up, we already have coals started so we can make coffee, we can make food, we can do all those things. And it just goes without saying. It's like, that was the coolest thing about it too, is like, there was 8 of us out there. No one was assigned tasks. It was just like, you get shit done because it needs to get done.
Yeah.
You're not looking for a pat on the back. You're not looking for approval from anyone. Like, oh, did you see how much wood I harvested? Or,
no,
like nobody cares. It's just like, we all know we need this to survive. So we're going to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just like, that was really interesting to observe and be a part of, because we don't do that in our society anymore. It's just like, especially with social media and everything else, like, you're constantly looking for approval via likes and comments, and your dopamine is so out of whack because like that's what you're like trained to respond to now. Whereas there, it's like a hard dopamine reset when you don't have your phone and you only get that reward from doing something difficult.
Yeah. Like, I'm sure the feeling of you getting to the campsite after the paddle.
Bro.
Yeah.
Bro.
Amazing. You know, like, cause you're paddling for, how long did you have to paddle to get to the campsite?
I think like in total, like the whole trip was like 2.5 hours to like,
yeah, that's a long time.
It's like 30 minutes across the first lake. And then it's like another 25 minutes to the first portage. And then from there to the next one is another, like, cause it's winding and narrower channels. I think it was like another like 30 minutes. And then to get across North T Lake was like, because we were trying to find a campsite. So we were just like going all over the place. So it wasn't like a direct line. So that took another like bit.
That's work though. That's work. Tiring,
especially in the rain.
Yeah, in the rain, and sitting in a canoe is uncomfortable,
bro.
It's so uncomfortable.
How have they not made better canoe? Like, the design is flawed, man. I don't care who you are. I don't care how long you've been doing it for. That it's not ergonomic.
You need a backseat. There are some canoes that have the backseat though.
I don't give it backseat or not. Doesn't matter, bro. There's no way. Like, when you're leaning over and especially if you're in the front, you're just going like typically on one side because the guy in the back steering you. So like whatever your power side is, that's your job, is to move the boat. After doing that for 2.5 hours, your body's broken.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make it. You're just leaning to that side. Like, it doesn't make sense. This has got to be a better way. The height of the seats feels off. Everything, they're uncomfortable. You just got web. It doesn't make sense. Yeah. Kneeling makes it a little bit easier. If like you get down on one knee or whatever, that makes it a bit easier. But yeah, like, I mean, bro, the point is 2.5 hours of that, just getting to your campsite is the dopamine rush. Yes.
And it takes 2.5 hours until you get that.
Right. Until you get that payoff.
Yeah.
And you know how good it's going to feel. And you just can't wait to get there. And then you get there, you're like, oh God, this is amazing. But then
you gotta build a camp.
Because it's raining and you're like, we got to get shelter up. Yeah. We got to harvest wood so we can eat. You got to do all these things. So you don't even get that like reprieve until you've done everything else. So it's like, okay, we've accomplished task 1.
Yeah.
We got here.
Build the campsite.
Now we got to do everything else. Yeah. And it's just like, I remember that first night, everyone was just like, cannot wait to just get to bed because we're soaking wet. And it, like, the rain kind of chilled on the paddle there. Like, it gave us a little bit of a break. And then like while we were setting up, but then throughout as the night went on, it just kept getting worse and worse. So like horrible. By like 9 p.m., we were just getting dumped on, and everyone was just like, bro, I can't anymore. Like, dripping wet. Just, you're like, what?
People don't realize one of the worst things that can happen to you out there is getting wet.
Man,
it's so bad to get wet when you're out there.
Your toes are going numb because you're in wet shoes and socks, and like you've already changed into dry ones, but you just got dumped on again.
It's the worst thing that can happen.
You got to figure out
me.
Hanging food in the trees, the barrels. One of them we didn't even. Me and Maddie just carried it into the woods. We're like, fuck it. Yeah. We're not doing this. We just took it as far as we could.
Took it out away from the campsite and just
dropped it and fuck it, leave it.
The good thing about those barrels is they seal really well.
They seal well, but bears will still fuck it up. Yeah. Like if they wanted.
Yeah. If they get a whiff of it, they're coming for it.
Yeah. So it was just like, fuck it. Who cares? Just be done with it. And like, it was so like, the dopamine, I think, hit like when you're like finally like in dry clothes and ready to go to sleep. You're like,
yeah,
I survived.
Yeah. But then you wake up.
It's only going to get better from here.
No, but then, I mean, it gets better.
Because we knew it was going to be sunny for the rest of the trip. So it was just like, all right, we dealt with the worst of it on the way in, and now it's just going to be chill. And that was like the reward. It's like we got rewarded with the beautiful weather for the next 2 days, and it made it all worth it.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I'm glad we went through that struggle in the beginning, because it brings everyone closer together. What icebreaker is better than just like struggling and getting through?
Struggling to survive together.
Right? There's nothing better than that. So you do that. And then it's like, okay, now the rest of it is just like you get to enjoy yourself and actually connect and, do the programming and like settle into like what you're trying to accomplish there. Like, and it was just, there was a lot of takeaways, even from like the bird sit, just sitting out in nature. Like everyone had something profound that like came to them in that. And like everyone, cause we all shared like what came up for us, and like a little bit of what everyone said, I resonated with, because it was like, you forget that you're all on this journey together, and you can think as men, because like we don't often share as much or like have these kind of environments, that you're on the journey alone.
Yeah.
So when you hear other people sharing what they're going through, you're like, oh fuck man, like I've been there. I know what that is. I could be better about that. I could work on that. And it's just nice to like see, like, it's just a reminder that you're not in it alone, and like you don't have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. You can always just like
nature's underrated, dude.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Exactly.
Like the lessons you get are just insane.
And it's from like nothing. Like it's like from sitting and looking at a tree. But for some reason, that is enough to like just, first of all, down regulate you to the point where you can actually feel everything correct. Or like really understand what you're feeling and what you're thinking. And you're like, why am I thinking that? And it's just like, I don't know, man. Like for me, the journey for me, like, started on my first backcountry trip, which was 2015. Was my first backcountry trip, which was a horrible trip. A horrible trip. So that was, poorly planned, got there late, 21-kilometer hike into our campsite, had a shitty tent that was not meant for backcountry, mosquitoes like you would not believe. Like you're talking about backcountry camping in Algonquin in July, which for anyone who knows Ontario, July is the worst month for mosquitoes and horseflies. And we're walking through the woods for a good 5 hours, 6 hours, getting eaten alive. But it's one of my favorite trips. One of my favorite trips. Just the struggle and being there with my friends and getting through it together and getting back out of that forest all in one piece. One of my fondest memories. And anytime I see any of my friends that were on that trip, we were on that trip together, it's like just laughing. Even though at the time we were all like, this is the worst. It was raining. It was muddy. It was all the things you don't want your backcountry trip to be. But we get together and we all just are always crying, laughing, just remembering it, because it's just like once you overcome it and you're out of there, you're like, I can't believe we did that. Like, I can't believe we survived that. But I don't want to go into that because I want to talk about Banff. I can talk about all my trips, but I want to talk about Banff because that's the most recent trip. And
it looked amazing, man. Like from what you were posting on socials, I was like, damn, it's been a minute since I've been out west. And it just made me realize like how beautiful Canada is, A. B, how much access you have to like amazing experiences like Banff. And it's just a 3-4 hour flight away? 3 hour, 3-4 hour. Yeah. 3.5 hour flight. 3.5 hour flight. Crazy.
To Banff.
Crazy. But before you get into this, I got to reset the camera because look, we're on a budget. All right. And this is what we're working with. We got to reset the camera every 30 minutes.
There we go.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Plenty of people do that.
We started from the bottom and now we're working our way up. So it is what it is. I'm going to reset that before you get into it because I don't want to cut you off.
Go.
So we can do a little quick pause here and get back into it.
Perfect.
So let's get into your recent adventure out to Banff.
My trip to Banff. So it came about pretty quickly. My 30th birthday was approaching. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I was like, I want to be in the mountains. I don't want to be alone, pretty much. My 30th birthday and Mother's Day were the same day. So I planned to have my mom out for the last 2 days of my trip so that we could, on my birthday and Mother's Day, we could be together in Banff.
That's dope.
Yeah. Which is what I learned is that my mom was basically 30 when she gave birth to me. So 30 years later. Yeah.
Bro, that's crazy.
That's crazy, right? She was 30 when she gave birth to me, which was, I didn't even know that until I was like, wait, what? It's like, that's crazy. She's turning 60 this year. I'm turning 30. She's turning 60.
Dude, that's wild, man. And you had no idea.
I had no idea. And Mother's Day was on the same day as my birthday.
Funny how that works.
It's one of those things where it's like, everything just lands where it's supposed to land.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And to be like in the position too, where you can like at 30,
I could
fly your mom out to Banff just for like a trip.
Yeah.
Just to hang out. Like all the things that had to happen for you to get to this moment.
I know that, like my birthday, like my 30, I was just taking it in. I was like, this is like a full circle. This is like a full circle moment.
Like legit.
Yeah.
Like real full circle. Like circle of life type full circle.
Exactly. Like I'm driving her around. Damn. Like 30 years ago, she was giving birth to me and carrying me around. Now I'm driving her around, showing her stuff.
Bro, that's deep. That's deep.
Yeah. So I'm glad I made that decision because that was like, I felt like when it was like, okay, Mother's Day, my 30th birthday and Mother's Day on the same day, I was like, so we have to be together. I was like, we have to be together on that day. Like there's nothing else I should be doing on my 30th birthday than being with my mom. So,
respect, dog. Because a lot of people is like, it's whatever. I'll send flowers. I'll send a cake. But whatever it is, maybe a quick phone call. Bruh, straight up, piece of shit. Didn't even call my mom.
No, on Mother's Day?
Autumn hit me with it like 2 days later. She's like, did you call your mom on Mother's Day? I was like, I mean...
Oh, no, dude.
Hold on. What I'll say is this. My family's never been big on like holidays.
Oh, okay.
Or anything like that.
Because you guys are...
and also... She never called me on my birthday, so I feel like we're even. So it's like, it is what it is.
Even Stevens.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Even Stevens. Yeah. But yeah, I know it was amazing. Like I was like, that's what has to happen on my 30th birthday. So anyways, so I fly out to Calgary. I rented a camper van from Outdoorsy, which is like a website where it's like an Airbnb for camper vans. Like
van looks sick, man.
Yeah, it was a dope van. It was pretty good. I rented a stand-up paddleboard from them, a barbecue. It comes with a stove. It comes with like a water jug and all that kind of stuff. I
was wondering, man, because like you flew out there. So I was like, yo, how did you get all this gear? Where's this coming from? You just kept pulling shit out of your bag. And I'm like, what the fuck? How? Like, that's like 3 check bags, man. Yeah. Oh, okay. So it makes sense that they supply you with that stuff. And that it makes it a lot more. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And they also picked me up from the airport.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. They were planning to drop it off to me, but I messaged them. I was like, oh, I'm landing because there's a time zone difference. Yeah. I was like, I didn't realize that I'm landing at a different time for your time zone. So I landed, they picked me up, they drove me out to where the van is, picked up the van, and I just head out to Canmore, which is about 45 minutes from Calgary, which is crazy to me because like living in Toronto, you have to drive like 4 hours to get something nice. But anyways, you drive 45 minutes from Calgary, and not even 20 minutes, and you're already seeing like the most epic views. Like the highway there, I was like, I don't mind driving around here. Like I'm just looking at nature every which way I look, and it's like peak. It's not like, oh, that's a nice mountain. That's like a holy crap, look at that mountain kind of views. You know what I mean?
It's different, man. It hits different. Here in Toronto, again, you're surrounded by buildings. That's your view. Like even you look at downtown and it's like, oh, like it's like a mountainscape of buildings.
Yeah.
And it's very unnatural because it's all straight lines. It's all like very similar heights and stuff. It's just your eyes aren't used to that. But when you're out in nature and you're looking at like the variation, you have this gigantic mountain, trees, and all different variations, shapes, sizes, organic shapes. It's way easier on the eyes, and it's like just like the beauty of it. You're like, oh, fuck, this is different. Yeah, it hits different.
Yeah. Anyway, so I get to my first campsite because I was planning. So my first campsite I drive into Canmore and I'm just tripping out. I was like, I even have a video. I didn't post it, but like I went and got a Starbucks and I walk out of Starbucks and it's like a snow-capped mountain in front of me. I was like, this is so weird. Like I'm in a Starbucks. I have a Starbucks in my hand. It just doesn't make sense to me that like, I'm buying a coffee, but then I walk out and there's a snow-capped mountain right in front of me.
It doesn't make sense, but it's amazing at the same time.
Amazing. Anyways, I get my coffee. I grab all the gear, like my food, whatever I need to be camping. I do that the first day. I get to my first campsite and I just stretch, and I'm so tired because I didn't get much sleep the night before. And I pass out in the back of the van at like 5 p.m. I wake up at 10:30. It's pitch black. I was like, well, I guess I'm going back to bed, you know? I was like, I guess I was tired and that's what I wanted to do. And that's why I wanted to go solo, because I was like, I don't want any type of pressure to do anything from anyone. Like if I'm tired, I'm going to bed. I'm parking up the van and I'm going to bed right then and there.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
It's, yep. Yeah. Sometimes it just needs to be you and what you're trying to get accomplished or experience or do, because when you involve other people, it's always that constant push and pull. Well, I want to go here. Well, I'm hungry. Well, I'm tired. I'm not.
Let's go here first. Let's go there first. And it's just like, it was one of those things where it's like, I'm doing whatever the fuck, which was, this is the first time I've done a solo trip like that. The first 3 days were completely by myself. I was like, this is amazing. Like I'm doing whatever I want at any point. So I wake up the next morning. I'm planning the Hauling Peak at that day, which is a very popular summit in Canmore. It's about 4 hours up and down. So I hit that. I get there about 6 and I'm climbing this mountain and it is exhausting, bro. It is exhausting. I'm climbing. You know, I'm like, holy shit. Like this is a fucking climb. Like I haven't climbed like this in a while. And I get to a point where it's all snowy and I bought some micro spikes. So I put those on. I didn't really need them, but those things are dope. Like if you plan to do a lot of hiking, buy some micro spikes, because the grip obviously is insane.
Bro, it's like studded tires for your car, right? Like in Montreal and Quebec, I think it's like a law where you need studded tires. So it's just the same thing. It's these rubber
I've seen them
things you put over your tires, right? With metal spikes, because the roads get so bad with the ice and snow. It's like law. You have to have them.
Yeah.
So it makes sense, bro. Like, especially if you're up there alone, you're hiking on the edge of a mountain. The last thing you want is to misstep or slip. And it's like, well,
because there's no snow. Nice. There's no snow for the first hour and a half. And then you get a little closer to the summit and it's ice and snow at the top.
Right.
So it gets pretty slick.
Yeah.
But I get almost to the top and I only see maybe 4 people the whole time, which is very rare. So like if you try to climb Hauling Peak July, August, it's going to be crowds. So I had this like unique experience where there was no one there. I get to the top and there's no one there for like 40 minutes. 40 minutes. I had the peak to myself, which is, if anyone's out there and who's done a hauling, they know, like during peak season, there's not a shot you're going to be sitting up there alone. Like get up there. I have a picnic blanket in my bag. Throw down the picnic blanket. I brought the stove up with me so I can make my Turkish coffee at the top. I brought a little speaker so I could switch between listening to nature and listening to some chill tunes while I kind of nap at the top by myself. Yeah. I'm watching clouds form behind the mountain, and it's psychedelic. That's the only way I can put it. Like it's psychedelic. I'm watching clouds like merge together. It was amazing. Like it was amazing. It was such a rewarding experience. And then obviously you got to hike back down. So I hike back down the next day. So I hike back down and I'm like, I was planning to stay in Canmore for 2 nights, but I was like, whatever, I'm just going to fly up to Banff, this is another huge benefit of going in May. Well, typically in May, it's a little bit colder. I got really lucky and it was mid-20s the whole time I was there. But typically in May, like during peak season, there's no way you're going to get a campsite if you just decide to pull up. But because I was there in off season, I could pull up to any campsite in Banff and Canmore and get a campsite that night, which is such a perk because I'm going day to day, like where do I want to stay? Yeah. Day to day. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to stay in Canmore. I'll drive up to Banff, book a campsite for that night. What did I do that day, at the end of the day? I just went and walked around Banff, which is a beautiful town, by the way. If you go out there, it's actually super clean. Like you could eat off the floor. I'm telling you, you could eat off the floor there. It is so clean. I didn't see one piece of garbage. Everything is designed almost similarly with like this nice like wooden beams everywhere. Yeah. It's such a beautiful town. Yeah. I grab a bite to eat there. I head back to my campsite. I make myself a nice fire, make some food, and I'm just chilling alone at my campsite, which was another like amazing thing. I just having fun with the content too, which was really great. Like I really enjoy being able to be, okay, I'm going to do this shoot like 5 times without anyone telling me like, let's go. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to do this like 6 times. I'm going to watch the footage. I'm going to do it as many times. Oh, that didn't look good. All right.
You have the freedom to, right? And it's like, you're doing it for you.
Yeah.
So it only makes sense that you're going to want it to look perfect.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I go through this all the time. It's like, I'm usually on a time crunch or, it's just like you have to get the shot and move on. You don't have time. But like if it was up to me, bro, I'd be spending hours on like just getting like one shot to make sure it looks sick. Yeah. But it's when you're there and you can do that, it's
moving my tripod around. I'm like, okay, I'm going to make the fire bigger. Or I'm going to take a shot of me putting it out. I'm going to do it in slow-mo. I'm going to do it in time lapse. Like I just try everything.
Why not? Right. Because like when you're having these experiences, and I know like we're talking about like connecting with nature and like putting your phone away and not like having that, but also the day and age we live in, if you are going to capture content and create, kind of share your experience with people, it's a necessary evil. You have to have, a means of doing that and sharing that if you're trying to grow your following or build community or whatever.
Share with people. Like the amount of messages I got from people that were like, oh my God, like I want to do this now, which is, I love to hear that. Like someone's like, oh my God, I didn't even think of getting a camper van, or, oh my God, I didn't even think of taking a trip out to Banff. Like, why would I not do that instead of going to the Caribbean or going somewhere else?
Bro, everyone, where are we going? Tulum. Where are we going? Costa Rica. It's always the same thing.
You don't got to go anywhere.
You can do something different.
Yeah.
And for cheaper also.
Yeah.
And have an experience like you had where it's just surrounded by a different type of nature. Like I'm all for going to the tropical destinations and doing that, but like I get bored after laying around on a beach for 2 days. Like 2 days, I'm like, I need something else.
There's a big culture of escapism, I feel like, especially in Toronto. Like there's a big thing like, oh, I need to relax, so I need to leave so far. Like I need to go somewhere that's so different than Toronto. I need to go to an island, for example. Yeah. But like, hey, why don't you just hop out on a plane west? The Rocky Mountains are right there.
Bro.
The Rocky Mountains are right there. They are spectacular. So anyways,
crazy.
The next day I booked. So before I went, I was like, I want to do a hard hike. Like I want to do something that pushes me way out of my comfort zone, something I've never done. So I found this company called 57 Hours. Shout out to 57 Hours. They connected me with a hiking guide out there. And because of the time of the year, there were certain summits I couldn't do because still a lot of snow at a lot of the higher peaks. So I was just like, hey, listen, give me the hardest thing you guys got. Hit me with the hardest hike that you guys have. I'm down to do it. So they connect me with my guide named Jeff. Shout out to Jeff. I'm sure you'll never see this, but shout out to Jeff. Shout out to Jeff. They're like, hey, we have this summit, Mount Corey, not a very popular summit, which I also love. I love to do stuff that other people are not doing. Yeah. Take me Mount Corey. It's not accessible by a road. You can't drive up to the trailhead. You got to rent a bike and you got to bike half an hour out to the trailhead and then start the hike. So I was like, I love that. I'm like, that sounds like adventure mode, and I'm on adventure mode. So I wake up that morning, drive into Banff. We rent some bikes, ride the bike out, and I'm talking to like, Jeff is like, he's kind of priming me for the hike. He's like, yeah, I've done like a similar hike. I've never done this mountain in particular, but apparently what I'm reading is about a 500 meter just vertical climb to start. And then it evens out a bit. I'm like, oh, okay. 500 meters. All right. It's not bad. It's a 3,300 meter summit.
Okay.
So 500 meters is just the start, bro. And I still got to get to the summit. So 3,300 meters is what I'm climbing.
Damn.
Yeah. It's high. It's high. And it's like, yeah, a little bit of scrambling. Being like, I've never really climbed a mountain that's like this, where it's like the trail is marked, but not to like me and you. Like if me and you were go, we'd get lost.
Right.
But like a hiking guide who knows his way around and knows the markers a little bit better can get you there. But I've never done scrambling before. So I thought scrambling was just like, like butt sliding down a little bit and it's doing stuff like that where you have to get on all fours.
Yeah.
Bro, this scrambling was basically climbing. Like we were basically, if it got any more vertical, it would be rock like maybe a couple more degrees, like 5 degrees more, we would have been rock climbing.
Dude, that's crazy.
We would have been rock climbing.
That's not even a hike at that point, bro. If you're on all fours, bro, I feel like that's not a hike.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways,
that's different.
That's different.
That's
I know.
A different class of hike.
So I'm climbing and like the voices in my head are like, "Fuck, are you doing? Why are you doing?" The other voices like challenge, a comfort zone, growth.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, Jeff is 48 years old and this guy's like a mountain goat. Like he's fucking flying up the mountain. And I'm like, how the fuck's this guy doing that? I'm trying to keep up with this guy. I'm just pushing myself. And the voices just, they keep getting louder. Like, oh my God, exhausted. Like my back is hurting me. My shoulder is hurting me. This is what I'm doing for my birthday. Like this is my birthday. This was literally my birthday gift to myself.
Punishment. Pure punishment.
Pure punishment. Like, and it's hot. So hot. Like I thought it was going to be cold. It's May, Banff. You're up in the mountains. I'm expecting it to be a cool climate. It is hot. The sun is beating down on me. I'm drenched in sweat. And climbing on all fours, basically. All fours, just...
That's a primal workout, man.
Boom,
Again,
boom,
it's
boom.
Something we don't do often. When was the last time you climbed just around on all fours? When was the last time you were on the ground on all fours?
Yeah.
Your body's not used to that, bro.
No, not at all.
We've completely removed that from our everyday lives, man.
Yeah.
Like, so that must have been challenging in itself, just like being in that position.
Yeah. Being in that position, and then those voices start coming in your head. Okay, what happens if you twist your ankle out here, buddy? Like, there's no one that's gonna come get me. I'm 2 hours from the bottom, so the earliest anyone can get to me is 2 hours, and then another 2 hours back down. Yeah. So I'm 4 hours away from anyone grabbing me.
That's wild,
right? So those are the thoughts that come to you, and that's, to me, I was like, that's just doubt. Like doubt always manifests when you're doing hard stuff. Always. But when you get used to doing the hard stuff, you start to recognize doubt.
Yeah.
And you know what it is, and you know what it's trying to do, and you know how to just go like, shut up. Just shut up.
Silencing those voices, right? Yeah. It's because there was a lot of that too. Like when we were portaging and we're out in the middle of nowhere, I'm like, hold up. If anything happens to anyone,
what do you do?
The fuck do you do? Like there's literally nothing you can do.
There's nothing you could do in a city boy sense, like where I could pick up 911 and they show up within 5 minutes.
Well, hey, there's no cell reception. No one has a satellite phone.
Yeah.
It's not like there's like a bat phone you could just pick up to call the park rangers. Yeah. There's no landline. There's nothing. You're fucked.
It would literally be physically taking whoever's injured back out.
Right. And that's a
challenge.
It's just like,
it's not an ideal situation for whoever's injured.
But those thoughts do creep in and you're like, well, I didn't plan for that. Mm-hmm. Did I prepare enough? Did I this? So you're up this mountain.
Yeah. And the voices
having
are loud.
These thoughts.
I get to a point where it's like, just tell him it's enough. Just tell him this is high enough. Because I got to a point where I was fucking exhausted. Bro. And I'm looking and I'm getting spectacular views, obviously, the whole climb up. And I'm like, do I really need to get to the summit, bro? I'm like, do I really? And Jeff is like, yeah. It's only like another 200 meters. And every 200 meters be like, yeah, it's another 200 meters.
Bro, that's wild.
Just, feed it to me slowly.
That's
like,
wild.
Yeah, it's just another hour. And then an hour passes and be like, yeah, it's just another hour. Bro. So we're scrambling. Like we get to a point, obviously, like snow waist deep.
Dude, what?
Snow waist deep. We're going through points where the snow is waist deep. I couldn't get any footage because my cell phone is in my pocket, which is in the snow. So
crazy.
We're going snow waist deep. We're going literally on the edge because when you get higher to the summit, it's literally like this. Like you guys can't see if you're listening to it, but we're talking about like a vertical, like a
peak, like an actual peak.
Yeah. So like it's cliff on both sides. It's cliff on both sides.
So there's like nowhere to actually like.
Yeah.
Like you'd be straddling the summit.
Yes, exactly. So the closer you get to that point, the more steep it gets and the more climbing it is and the more narrow your path is. So we get to a certain point. He's like, okay, just be careful because you see there's snow here, but that's actually a cliff. I'm like, Bro. I'm like, okay.
Nah, dude. Nah.
And I'm like, I'm like shaking. I'm like, all right, I just gotta go really slow. Like I just gotta go really slow and just, because he's walking in front of me. So I'm stepping in all his footsteps. Because I'm like, I'm not fucking.
And the fact that he's never done it before. So like he's saying these things.
Yeah.
What if he's wrong? It's like, oh no, this is good. And then he takes a misstep and he's gone. And you're
I'm there by myself.
Well, shit. I thought, well, I mean, fuck.
All right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Fuck. Now I gotta get down this mountain, which I don't even know how to get back down.
The fact that he's leading you without actually knowing what it is himself. And which just having amazing. That like level of confidence.
He's an expert.
Like, courage.
He's been doing it for 25 years.
Right.
So he's an expert, but like he's never done this specific trail.
That's what I mean. Yeah. So he's actually never done it before. So he's just like, I guess, I don't know. Yeah, this is my best educated guess.
Yeah.
Because really when you're up there and you've never done it before, it's an educated guess.
Yeah.
Based on my experience.
This is where we should go.
I think this is the way to do it.
Yeah.
He could be wrong.
He could be.
Experts are wrong. All the time.
Yeah. So that's a little bit more fucking, pizzazz.
It's a little bit of doubt. You're like, well, does he even know where the fuck he's going? Like, where are we at?
I'm like, Jeff, you gotta stop saying this kind of stuff to me. He's like, yeah, be careful. Like if you're grabbing this rock, like sometimes they just fall out of the side of the mountain. So you just gotta make sure they're sturdy. I'm like, okay,
cool, man.
All right,
cool.
I was like, why the fuck am I here? Why the fuck am I doing this? Anyway, we climb and then we get to the summit, dude, and it's just, bro. First of all, I had a banana. Best banana I ever had in my life. When I tell you I was eating that banana, I turn around, I look at Jeff, I was like, I don't know if it's the banana or the hike, but this is the best banana I've ever freaking had.
Bro.
So he's just munching on that, laying down, and then obviously summit traditions. So
Summit, if we're going to get into it, let's get into it.
Summit tradition. I'm like, okay, Jeff, it's a summit tradition. We got to do a shot of Fireball. I hand him one. I do it. I take out a joint. I'm like, I'm going to enjoy a joint at the top of the summit for sure. I smoke half a joint. And he's like, all right, let's climb back down. I'm like, oh, fuck.
Bro, so how much time did you have up there to even enjoy?
We sat at the summit for like under half an hour. So 20 minutes.
And the hike took how long to get up there?
The hike took 4.5 hours.
One way.
Yeah.
For 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a no from me, doc. If I'm going to travel 4 hours to get somewhere to sit there for 20 minutes.
That's what climbing a mountain is, bro.
Bro, that ain't it.
I'm
going to sit there for at least an hour. At least an hour.
I would have, but you still got to climb down. So,
which is true, because like
4.5 hours back down.
Daylight is a factor.
Daylight's a factor. Do you have enough water to be chilling there for an hour? Are you gonna carry extra water on your back up the mountain? So you really can't take up too much stuff. Like you gotta be aware of what you have with you.
So like it's just up and down basically.
Yeah.
So an 8-hour round trip with a 20-minute break.
Yeah. 20-minute view of the entire Banff. Like I could see the mountain of Lake Louise from where I was.
It looked incredible.
Bro,
don't get me wrong. I was sitting at my desk editing and I was like, oh, it looks fucking incredible. I'm glad I'm here.
Yeah.
Because that shit, that ain't it.
Yeah. And then on the way down, obviously, like after I did that shot in that joint and then he's like, hey, climb down. I was like, oh, fuck. Like I should not have done that. Like, because on the way down, like, coming back down the summit, it's actually a climb down a wall. And then we get to a point where he's like, okay, let me check this out. And there's like a bunch of snow and he just slides down on his ass. I was like, oh, bro, that looks so sick. I was like, Jeff, take out your camera.
So he recorded that.
He recorded that.
Dude, I was trying to figure out, I was like,
I put the tripod and ran back up the hill?
Bro, I thought you threw him your phone and I was like, bro.
No.
On the side of a mountain, that's some risky business, man. That's what I thought you did. I was like, anything for the shot, man.
No, I was like, dude, get your camera out. There's no way I'm sliding down the side of a summit without getting our recorded.
Hilarious. It's a team effort, man.
Yeah.
It's a team effort.
So I slide down that part, and then there was this one part where him and I got like lost. I don't know how. He went one way. I ended up on a different part. And it was just a part of the mountain where I was literally just sliding down. Sliding down. My shoulders on my shoulder. Like this is how vertical I am. My shoulders on the ground and my feet are.
That's crazy.
I'm sliding. I was like, I can't see Jeff. I can't. Where the fuck is this guy? There's no way. I was like, he can't get that far ahead of me. I'm basically falling. I'm basically falling on the side of this mountain. And I'm like, Jeff. And he's way behind me. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, how you get behind me? Anyway, I see this guy. He comes running down. He's like, oh, you found a shortcut. And he starts sliding down with
it. Again, he's never done this before.
Yeah.
So he's learning shit on the way. Like, you just figured it out. I'm just going to fucking slide. And he's like, that's fucking genius. I'm going to join you.
Yeah. He's like, and then we get to a certain point. He's like, all right, there might be a cliff up ahead. Like, let's go back to the actual trail. Right. I'm like, I'm so glad you're fucking here, dude. Because I would have just kept sliding down.
Right. And then you don't know where you're going to go, where you're going to end up. Like, crazy.
So we're like basically gunning it down because both of us are talking. We're like, bro, make it stop. That's where we were both. We're like, bro, just make it stop.
I feel like this is the first and last time Jeff's going to be doing that hike. He's like, oh, you want to do what, the quarry? Yeah, fuck that.
He's like, not quarry, fuck that.
Yeah, no, I don't do that anymore. Yeah, he's one and done for me. That's this is going to be.
He's like, how are your knees? I'm like, fuck, they're holding up. How are your knees? You're fucking 48, bro. He's like,
but again, he's used to that, right? It's a different thing, man.
Mountain climbing is a different type of condition.
Also, you're like basically training at altitude all the fucking time. Yeah. So like you're getting exhausted because you're not used to it. To him, he's just in his element. Yeah. It's something different. It's like, even with fighters and athletes who train at high altitude, they can just outlast anybody when it comes to endurance and cardio because they're used to it. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. So we were basically just running down that mountain and get to the bottom, get back on the bikes because now I got to bike back to town. Bro. Bike into town and I'm just shot. I'm like, I'm so tired. I can't even stand up. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm so tired. I can't stand up. I go get myself a meal, most rewarding meal ever.
Of course.
My lips are so dry because mountain air is so dry. Yep. But everything is chapped. I'm just burning. My skin is burnt. Anyways, still so happy. Still so happy. I was like, that was amazing. What an amazing experience that was. And I believe what did I do the day after that? I can't even remember what I did. Oh, the next day. Oh, that was the day my mom flew in. So I was doing chores. I had to wash all my clothes. I had to clean the van. I hadn't cleaned it. I had to reorganize everything, make sure everything was good. And then, my mom joined me that afternoon and that was a lot more chill after that. So that was more touristy stuff. That was like driving around to do the sightseeing. On my birthday, we did like a wildlife tour. And then I was like, okay, you're going to go to the Fairmont because I got to go use this paddleboard out on the lake. So I went out to Two Jack Lake, which is so underrated. Oh my God. People want to go to Lake Louise? Go to Two Jack Lake. It's so beautiful.
It looked insane. I thought you were on Lake Louise.
No, it's Two Jack Lake. It's so beautiful. I don't know why it doesn't get the same kind of rep as Lake Louise, but it is beautiful, like especially in the morning. Yeah, you saw the pictures or even the videos. It's like glass.
Yeah, dude, it's insane.
It's glass. It's so still. It's so
I was just quiet. Like, oh man, flying a drone on that.
Yeah.
I would have launched it from the paddleboard.
Oh my God,
I would have risked it for the biscuit, bro.
Yeah, yeah. So that was the day of my birthday when I was on the paddleboard. I just paddled out to the middle of the lake, put the paddle down, put my hat over my head, laid down on my paddleboard and just took a nap.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
And then the current just pushed me back into my campsite. Yeah.
That's unreal.
Yeah. Had dinner with my mom for my birthday and flew out the next day. But
fucking wild.
What a trip. It was, I'm sure I missed a whole bunch of small little details, but I mean, overarching the big theme, solo trip. If you have not done a solo trip yet, go do a solo trip. Go do a solo trip. I don't care if it's even a solo day trip. Right. In Ontario. Yeah. Pack your bag for the day and drive out to Hamilton, drive out to Niagara.
Caledon. And there's so many little pockets around.
Kawartha Lakes, an hour and a half from here. You could get a campsite at Kawartha Lake and just spend the day by yourself. You'll see how much more connected you're going to be to your emotions and your thoughts and really kind of, I call it seeing them. I kind of see my thoughts in front of me. You know how you watch credits and they're in front of you? That's how I kind of see a transcript of my thoughts in front of me, especially when I'm alone, no one to bother me.
Interesting.
And I'm in nature. I'm sitting there and I can see my thoughts kind of manifest in front of me. And it's you get a chance to analyze, why am I thinking that? Why am I feeling this? What's that actually from? Why am I frustrated right now when I'm sitting by myself? I shouldn't be frustrated when I'm sitting by myself. Oh, that's because I'm frustrated about this thing that happened last week and it's still on my mind. It's unresolved. Right. But yeah, man. I mean, that's all I can say to people. Try a solo trip. Try to do a trip. Think of something where it's I try to think like if a lot of people are going to Tulum, I'm like, I don't really want to go to Tulum. You know what I mean? And it's not nothing, no knock on Tulum or anyone going to Tulum, but it's like, I want to do something that is purely from my own mind, you know? Because you get, getting influence is a real thing. Like you got to know that we're all highly impressionable and can be influenced by the smallest things. So sometimes when I'm seeing a lot of people do one thing, I'm like, do I really want to do that? Or do I want to do that because everyone else is doing that?
And you really have to question yourself because it's so easy to get caught up in that. And like Autumn and I were talking about doing a trip and it was like, oh, let's do like Tulum or Costa Rica. And I was just like,
why?
I've been to Mexico so many times. It doesn't look like anything different. It's just like curated to be like a wellness haven, but really it doesn't seem like anything special. I mean, just from what I've seen, like, because spending time on Instagram, it's like seeing all the content from there feels like I've already been there. There's nothing for me to experience because I can already know what that's going to look like or feel like when I'm there because I've already seen it 1,000 times. Yeah. Costa Rica, I've never been, but again, everyone I know has been to Costa Rica and I've seen all the content. I've seen all the stuff and it's just like, that doesn't like do anything for me.
Yeah. And you got to question yourself, like how much of this is coming from myself versus an outside influence, right?
That's it. It's so easy to get influenced in our culture, especially. So we're looking at Spain instead, and we're not looking at like the usual places you go.
Yeah.
It's not Madrid or Barcelona.
Yeah.
We might end up in Barcelona for a day or two.
You should go check it out.
Everything outside of that, like there's a wellness retreat happening. I don't even know where because I've never heard of the place before. So it's like, it's places you don't normally go. And that's what I like. It's like, I want to experience something that's different and it's not the tourist.
Yeah. And it's from my own volition. And that's the other thing with like, oh, we got to go here for our health and wellness. It's like, dude, you don't got to go anywhere for your health and wellness. No. Like you went to Algonquin. That's a 4-hour drive from Toronto. There is more than enough nature resources and anything you need to disconnect right there.
That 3 days away from Toronto, out of the city, like it was a complete reset, complete recharge. And it's funny because like I was supposed to be in Montreal right now for a bachelor party, which is like the complete opposite of that experience, which was alcohol free, phone free, just getting in tune with nature and being grounded and connecting with like-minded individuals and focusing on body movement and basically everything that's health and wellness oriented. And then, contrast that with a weekend of debauchery, staying up late, eating shitty food, drinking copious amounts of alcohol, all these things that I don't resonate with anymore. And it was just like, after that weekend, I was like, I can't do that to myself. Like I'm doing myself a disservice. If I'm really on this health and wellness journey and this path, why would I go from such an amazing, uplifting, spiritual journey to this, where it's the complete opposite, just draining of energy, depletion of minerals, just basically poisoning myself for 3 days straight.
Anything that's like too simple is actually bad for you. And I find like, oh, it's a good time is like going out drinking, going to the club. That's such a simple formula. You should know it's not actually going to give you any joy.
Yeah.
But like taking a canoe out to the woods,
it's different.
It's a little bit more complicated formula. It takes a little bit more work, but that's why it's so potent and powerful. And like the recharge from that is ridiculous. It's the same thing, climbing a mountain. Like you're like, what the hell, 20 minutes at the top? But it's the whole 8-hour experience, the whole 9-hour experience is what is really happening.
Something that's going to live with you forever. Right? Like in going to a bar and drinking and partying, those memories aren't ones you look back on.
Never.
I
challenge someone right now, like tell me like, oh, one of the greatest nights of my life is when I went out with my friends to a bar.
What you do remember is the next morning when you felt like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And that's what you remember. It's like, oh fuck. Do you remember like the next day? Because while you're in it, it's whatever. And the next, like, I'm like, it's just
those memories all like,
and not to knock on anyone doing that. Like, I'm really close with a lot of the guys that went on this trip, and it's like, I get it, right? I'm on a different path. I'm a different journey. I'm at a different point in my life where like I can put that chapter behind me and know that it's okay. Like I have no judgment, like, cause I used to do that all the time. Like,
I don't have judgment of people.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just like by all means, do you. Like, if you're having fun, have fun, man. But like, I've had that fun, and now my fun is different now.
Yeah, it's more so, I think what I would want people to take, especially from this conversation, is that like, it's okay to do that, but like, you have to try to seek these uncomfortable experiences in nature, which is being in nature is an uncomfortable experience because
it is very uncomfortable.
You have no control. You have no control of what's going on in the forest around you. You have no control of what's going on a mountaintop. Like,
the first 20 minutes I was in the forest, I was like, what am I doing here? Mm-hmm. Like,
it's a very common thought.
It's like, I went out and because everyone just like scattered, and I was like, well, where the fuck am I going to go? Like, I don't know. So I just started walking in a direction. I found this like rock covered in moss, and I started feeling the moss. I'm like, this is so weird. It's like nature's carpet. Yeah. I'm like, this looks fucking comfortable. So like I laid on it, and I'm like, it's actually not bad. Like, it's kind of like that. I was just like draped over this rock. And then I looked over and I saw this little slug, and I was like, I'm just fucking up this dude's home. I was like, I'm all up in this dude's grill. Like, he's probably like, what the fuck are you? Who are you? What are you doing here? And I was like, this ain't it. I got to find a different spot. And then I went into like the woods further, and I was just surrounded by like all these like, I don't even know. They were just branches covered in spikes, and I was just getting fucking torn up. I was like, why am I here? What the fuck is this? Like, wait, is this necessary? Like, this is dumb. And then it led me to this perfect like outlook where I was just perched up on a rock. I was like, I don't know, 20, 30 feet high. And I was looking at this valley of like trees, and it was just this birds all around me. And I found it, dude, it's clean air. Once I like settled down, and I was like, I get it. I needed to, find my way. But like, once you get there and you sit and you're like, oh, because like, when was the last time you went and sat in nature quietly in the city? Or sorry. Yeah. Just when was the last time you just sat alone for an hour without your phone?
Yeah. Sat alone for an hour alone in like a really like remote environment
where you can't hear or see anyone.
Yeah.
Bro.
It's scary.
Impossible.
It's scary.
In the city. Impossible.
It's scary. It's uncomfortable, but like, so rewarding.
So rewarding.
Because like, I've been out to the backcountry like so many times at this point, but I still get scared. Like, if I hear rustling in the bushes, I'm like, oh my God, what the hell is that? You have no control of what's going on in those situations.
Zero. But
that's where the learning, the growth, the rewards all come from.
Bro, yeah. And the lessons, man. Like, I realized in that moment, like, I'm so fulfilled with everything I have. I'm so grateful. Like, I'm out here. I don't have all my gadgets and toys, my laptop, I didn't bring my digital camera even. I brought a film camera and a camcorder from like the 2000s. Yeah. Because I didn't want to have all my gear and all these things to distract me, and possibly a drone. Can't confirm nor deny that. Yeah. But it was just like, I didn't have anything. Nothing. I didn't even have my Apple Watch. Like, I had no like tech, nothing. And I was like, I don't need that shit. Like, we're told like your soul that you need all these things to be happy and fulfilled. And once you get that watch, or once you get that car, or once you get that new phone, or whatever it is, you'll be happy. You just need more stuff. Consumer culture. But really, when you're there and you have the bare minimum, you have food, water,
shelter, your boys,
and that's it. And that's all you have. You're like, oh shit.
Why am I so much happier?
You're so much happier.
Like, why am I so much happier right now? I have nothing.
You're laughing at everything. You're just having a good time. There's literally no pressure from like the outside world, external world, to like get shit done. Like, being busy to be busy. Like, I feel like this is like the society we live in now, where it's just like, you're just busy being busy. You're just going from one thing on your list to another thing on your list without any conscious thought or intention, or it's just like, I have to get all these things done and then wake up and do all these things, and then wake up and do all these things, but you don't schedule any time to take for yourself, to go outside. Like, my studio doesn't have any windows.
Yeah.
Like, I have to like remind myself to go outside and get sunlight when I'm working, because I'll just sit in front of a computer screen all day.
Yeah.
Just to get shit done.
Yeah, man.
But when I do remember, oh man, get up, go outside, go for a walk, just have your coffee outside.
So refreshing.
Dude, it's like, it's such a reset to just sit in the sun for like 30 minutes without my phone, having my coffee, taking in the sounds, the scenes, whatever. You know, I'm friends with a lot of the neighborhood dogs. So if they walk by, you know, just go interact with them.
Dude, dogs are the best.
You know what I mean? It's just like such like a, like that's a dopamine hit.
Yeah.
Like getting to say hi to a neighborhood dog that I'm familiar with. And it's just like, oh shit. Like, it's like,
this guy knows me. He recognizes me.
It's so simple. Yeah. And they're so excited to see you. It gets you all jacked up. You're like, oh fuck yeah, let's go. You know? And it's just the simple things, really. That's what I took away from the trip. Like, for me, is like why nature is so underrated, is because it's so simple and so basic, but it gives you literally everything you need to be fulfilled and happy. And we make things so complicated with all these external things that we think we need to be happy, but it comes from within. It's all here. You can choose to be your temple wherever you are. And that's something I took with me, is like, I can hold this resonance of like peacefulness, gratitude, stillness, wherever I am. So if I'm in a coffee shop that's crazy busy, I can just take a couple deep breaths and just sink into that and be like, I can like tap back into that and be like, oh, no. I'm in control. Yeah. I get to like control my environment and make it the way I want it, which is such a huge lesson to learn and just realize how underrated nature is, because it can provide you with so much benefit. And we just take it for granted, really.
We don't even think about it, using it. But
no,
I think that was a great way to end that little spiel right there. That was a great way. Nature is underrated, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back with another episode next week. Love y'all. Bye.
Peace.